It was a crisp autumn afternoon in the cozy family home, where the scent of baking bread wafted through the open windows. Grandpa sat at the dining table, his eyes glinting with wisdom as he sipped his tea. His grandchildren, Maria, Tommy, and Joey, gathered around him, their laughter echoing softly in the living room. "All right, kids," Grandpa began, a smile tugging at his lips. "I've been thinking about something we all need to face. You see, life is a journey, and sometimes it's better to map out your path before you step onto it." Maria rolled her eyes. "Grandpa, why do you always have to make everything so serious? It just upsets me." "Ah, but seriously," Grandpa continued with a calm assurance, "life has moments of beauty, moments of sorrow, and moments where you need to reflect on what's important. And I've been inspired by something, a legacy life map, that could help us all grow together." Tommy tilted his head, intrigued yet suspicious. "Grandpa, what's a legacy life map? I've never heard of that before." "Think," Grandpa prompted, leaning forward slightly. "You remember the time we lost Tommy's brother last year?" The room fell silent. "Yes." Grandpa placed a comforting hand on Tommy's shoulder. "He was just 3 years old, but he left us with something incredibly important, a love for life, a desire to help others, and a passion for adventure." Maria nodded slowly. "So you're saying we need this legacy life map to remember him?" Joey raised an eyebrow. "Grandpa, I've heard of maps before. What's the legacy life map thingy anyway?" "Imagine," Grandpa went on, his tone gentle but firm, "that Tommy's brother created a map of his life, journeys, memories, lessons he wanted us to learn from. And now we have the chance to create our own legacy life maps, to chart our paths and ensure we're living out his wishes." The family exchanged looks of confusion and disbelief. Maria, who had always been guarded in her relationships with Grandpa, raised her voice. "This doesn't make sense. I don't believe it." Tommy looked at Grandpa warily. "Grandpa, I'm not into this. It feels old-fashioned. We're supposed to be doing things our own way." Joey shook his head quickly. "I think we should just stick with the way we've always done things. This is too much like his time out." But Grandpa stood firm. "Tommy's brother was more than a sibling. He was an inspiration to us all, and his legacy deserves to be honored in a way that reflects who he truly was." Maria's face turned red as she muttered, "I don't understand. I mean, it's nice for funerals and stuff, but this feels, well, stuff." Tommy looked at Joey with an blank expression on his face. "I just want to make sure we're doing things the right way. I don't think our family needs another stuff." Grandpa reached out and squeezed Tommy's hand gently. "We all need to honor Tommy's memory, not just in a funeral or memorial service, but in every moment of our lives," he said softly. Maria hesitated before speaking again. "But Grandpa, why now? What about when we're older?" Grandpa smiled kindly at her. "These are the moments that define us, Maria. Sometimes it's best to address your roots early on so you can grow into who you truly are." The room fell silent once more. Then Joey broke the quiet with a small giggle. "Okay, I get it now," he said to Tommy. "Grandpa wants us all to know what we're going to do and make sure we're happy doing it, not just because we have to." Tommy looked at Maria and nodded thoughtfully. "Yeah, that makes sense. No point in rushing through life if you don't care about where you're headed." Maria hesitated, torn between her dislike of structured planning and her need to honor her brother's memory. Grandpa placed a comforting hand on Maria's arm. "Each of us has walked Tommy's path. He taught us perseverance, love for learning, and the importance of family. Now it's our turn to write that story." Tommy looked at his father again, who was now leaning forward, listening intently. "Dad," he said with a determined tone, "we need to make sure we follow in Tommy's footsteps, not just survive." Grandpa smiled wider than ever before. "Exactly, Tommy. And that includes creating our own legacy life map, so we can live with purpose and remember who we are meant to be. The room was filled with a mix of emotions as the family sat silently for a moment, each feeling the weight of their shared experience. Finally, Maria spoke softly. "Okay," she said, her voice breaking into a whisper. "Maybe this isn't such a stuff after all." Tommy nodded in agreement. "And I'm not opposed to that." Joey hesitated before raising his hand. "Grandpa, what about the old ways? Can we mix and match?" "Of course," Grandpa replied with warmth. "Our legacy life map is meant to evolve as we grow together. It's a living document, filled with love, laughter, and lessons we've learned." The family stood silently for a moment longer, the weight of their discussion hanging in the air. Then, as one, they turned towards Grandpa, who placed his hand on the table, a small but meaningful gesture of his own legacy life map. From that day forward, the family began to create their very own legacy life map, filled with goals, memories, and promises to honor each other's stories. And in those moments when life felt uncertain, they would refer back to this map. A guide, a reminder, a promise to themselves and each other. One more step toward living Tommy's way.